Welcome to Rocky Mountain Marketing. I'm your host, Katie Brinkley. Join us as we dive deep with the world's leading digital marketing experts every single Tuesday. It's all about giving you the strategies that are working right now, directly from those who are making an impact. With my 20 years of experience, I'm here to help you navigate the world of digital marketing. Whether you're looking to sharpen your skills or transform your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started on today's journey to success. Welcome back to this week's episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. Today's guest, she and I have been running around in the same circles for years now. And it really, I honestly don't even remember how it happened to us getting on this call finally. But we're finally on a call together. And I was like, man, you're so smart. You have so many great ideas. You should come on my podcast. And she said, well, of course, I'd love to. And the reason why I think she's so smart is because she's doing things a little bit different when it comes to video. And we could talk about a lot of things when it comes to video, from camera confidence to just getting started to why you should have video for your podcast. There's so many different ways that we could talk about video. But the reason I wanted today's guest to come on the show was because I wanted to talk about the importance of video testimonials. And you might be saying, wait, video testimonials, Katie, where are you going with this? And they're extremely important. They can help you with your credibility. How do you get them? When should you give them? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So today's guest is none other than Tracy Phillips. Thank you so much for joining me on Rocky Mountain Marketing today.
I am so excited to be here. And before you start, I'll tell you how we met, Katie. It's because I was fangirling when we were on the same summit. Like, we have been circling each other, but I was like, oh my God, Katie, really like the book, right? And one of our mutual friends said, like, hey, you and Katie. And I was like, I don't really know her, but I'd love to. And he's like, what? And so he introduced us. And then I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, so I fangirled for a while. And then when you asked me about your podcast, I was like, dear diary, my day is complete. Yeah. So that's how we came into each other's world. I fangirled you until someone finally introduced me to you.
Oh my goodness. Well, Tracy, you are too kind. And for those who are watching on YouTube, my face is bright red. But no, I mean, like, I've been following you on Facebook. We're connected on Instagram. We speak on a lot of the same virtual events. Yeah. So, and it wasn't until our mutual friend, Sean, introduced us, Sean Q. Sean introduced us. We started talking, and then we started talking about video testimonials. And before we dive into all of the goodness around video testimonials and why we need to be paying attention to them, how we can incorporate them, all of that, let's just do a quick recap on what got you into the video world, Tracy. Why video? For me, there's no secret. Video is my Achilles heel. But why video for you?
Video is an Achilles heel for a lot of people. And so, I mean, it's why I love my online work, because, I rarely meet someone who's like, oh my gosh, I love video, right? It's why I started an online business. But I have been in the pro video world for 23 years. So I started in documentaries. And I was even nominated for one. And so I had all of this experience interviewing people, getting people comfortable, really kind of drawing out the real raw human versus like teleprompters and that type of thing. And so I loved that world. And then in 2015, I was introduced to the online world. So I had been doing like people on green screens or going to locations, doing all these things, traveling a lot with crews. And then I found the online world and I was like, what? And women really were drawn to me because what I was saying was they're like, yes, this, like, where they felt like I am the expert of what I do. I'm confident in that. But as soon as I try and record a video, or as soon as I have to look at myself on video, that all just shrinks away. And so I really have been, I work with women and men, but I started mostly in the online world, just really helping people find themselves on video, giving them permission to suck is what I like to say. Like, you have to embrace the suck. And so I have spent, almost the last 10 years online helping people do that. And then I transitioned a couple of years ago to video testimony.
Well, and Tracy, with your background in documentaries, I feel like you were so set up for the way that social media has shifted since the pandemic. the pandemic changed all of our lives. But one way that it really changed the way that we're showing up on social media is that people want raw, authentic humans to do business with. You don't need to have all of the polished, beautiful. I mean, you can, but you don't need to have that be all of what it is that you're putting out there. People want to see the true you. They want to hear the ahs, the ums, and the stuttering, you talking over me, me talking over you. That is what people are craving now because it feels more authentic. So with your background in documentaries, I feel like you're set for the shift.
I love that you mentioned feel, because the video part of it is all about feelings, right?
Mm-hmm.
I won't sing for you. I won't break into song, although I do sometimes, but that is the important part. And I always say to people, if I was in a conversation with you and we were talking to each other and I messed up, I wouldn't run away, which is what you do on video. Cause you're like, oh, I have to do it again. Right. Like that would be really super weird and awkward if, you know, Katie and I were sitting and I'm like, oh my God, I messed up. And I have to like run away and then come back and try again. But I really love that you hit on, it's real, it's raw, it's imperfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
I loathe teleprompters. I loathe, you know, I came from the world of multi-cameras, big crews. I mean, people will send me requests like, how do I do this multicam thing? And I'm like, I don't know, call Jim. Jim, like, I don't know how to set that up. Like, that's not my wheelhouse, right? There was a place, and there is still sometimes a place for highly produced video.
Absolutely.
Online is not really where that is at. And if you are selling something, which we all are, the power of seeing someone else talk about their transformation. So it's not really even talking about you, it's talking about them. It's very hero
Mm-hmm.
journey, right? Like, because
Yes.
you're the guide, but they are the person who overcame the thing. And that's why I love in video, because everybody's different. You don't have to love video to hop on and do it the way we do it is almost interview style. And so, you know, we can talk about like what makes the anatomy of a great video testimonial. There's just little things that I see people do in the online world that I'm like, oh, you almost had it. Or, you know, like, you just want the people to feel like they can't get it wrong.
Well,
right?
there is
Because,
something that happens with a feeling through video, just like
oh, yeah.
the power of audio. I think that there's a way to connect with someone very intimately through your voice, and
Yes.
you can build that know, like, and trust factor.
Sure.
And that was one of my biggest fears about video is I make weird faces. I was like, oh gosh, what are people going to think of me if I make weird faces? Or, I mean, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, I'm not having the best hair day. I was talking with my copywriter, Nikki, this morning, and she was like, man, it is so humid here. And in Colorado, we are not used to any sort of humidity, and neither is my hair. And so it's just kind of doing its own thing today. And before I would have canceled, I would have canceled this before. I really would have. But you know what? I'm like, you know what? Just not having the best hair day today. Thank you, humidity. But this is where you're building out know, like, and trust factor of
but
just
you're so much
showing
more
up.
likable because you just admitted that you didn't want to show up because of your hair. Like, right. Like, so that is such a relatable thing. Right. And so when you talk about feelings, voice, you know, this is why, you know, audio, video testimonials, that type of thing, they reign supreme over just written text. Because how many times have you read something and you're like, oh my gosh, that really moved me? How many times have you watched something and it's completely, or listened to and it's completely moved you? Yeah,
exactly.
And
Tracy,
so
and
that's the reason you want
exactly. Oh, you just got me so excited with that because you teed me up here for a great, you know, knock it out of the park here. But in a world of ChatGPT, how authentic are a lot of the testimonials that people are putting out there anymore?
So I'm such a Pollyanna. Like, I want to believe that everybody's being honest. I mean, like, you know, video testimonials, you can't fake those, which is why, you know, I mean, at some point, maybe you will be able to, but I think it's going to be pretty hard. You're right. We're definitely not there yet. People ask me if I'm worried. I'm not worried. We use AI for a lot of different things in the business. Generating video is not one of them. But when you talk about, it's really hard. And I forget the statistics. I wish I had it. Forbes did a study, and I think 80% of people do not believe written testimonials anymore. So that's a big, right? So I love little screen grabs. I call them screen grabs of love. Like, you see someone says something about your course or your book or whatever, grab those. Those are much more believable. Still can be, you can go into Canva and create something that looks just like that. I hate to say it, but people are doing it. They're doing it. And so, the consumer is smart. They're not dumb. You know when you're watching something or you're reading something and it just doesn't feel right. Again, I have nothing against AI, but I think that is unethical to produce testimonials in that way.
Well, in video testimonials, it's really hard to. I mean, at the time of this recording, AI is changing every day and it's changing very quickly. But at the time of this recording, a video testimonial is it's not super easy to just have a robot do for you. I feel like video testimonials are a true way of having someone feel the results that you were able to help a client get. And it can move people through the customer journey so much faster when they can hear the results from somebody else that was just like them.
Right. And that's it. It's like, not to get too like into the neuroscience, but it's like those mirror neurons. You see something, you'll connect with a person on a human level. You're seeing them have an emotion, whether that's happy or if they're talking about their like what they were struggling with before, and you think, oh, that's me.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I have so many stories of either I will be interviewing someone for something and I go and I hire that person, or I buy the thing because I'm like, oh my gosh, I want that. And I'm just interviewing them. My editor doing something, she's like, hey, can I reach out to them? I want to get that thing. And I'm like, okay, that is the power. If she's editing people talking about it and, day in and day out, it really has a weight that written testimonials simply do not have.
So in a world where Google reviews and Yelp reviews, people still pay attention to those. Yeah. Where exactly do video testimonials come into play? Where should we be looking to try it? Well, where should we be looking to try and put these reviews? And then we're going to talk about how to actually get them. So let's start there.
I'm so excited you asked that question. Yeah, because one of the things I like to talk about, like with our clients, I actually have a separate call on, okay, so now you have these assets. How do you optimize them? Right? Because a lot of people are like, I want to do it. It's off my checklist. Great. And then they've got 10 videos sitting in a Google Drive and they're like, I don't really know what to do with those. So we have how do you optimize them? And your website, it feels like a no-brainer. Website and social are the no-brainers, right? What you don't want to do is bury them. I will have clients come to me and be like, I love this woman. She has great video testimonials. And I have to click 4 to 5 times to find the video testimonials. You want to have your headline, sub-headline, and then some video testimonials or a compilation reel or something like that. You need some sort of social proof that what it is. Because again, if you think about your website, you're saying hey, you found it. You can stop looking, and now have people talk about why, right? So they do the selling for you. And that's what I talk about. I don't really consider video testimonials a marketing tool. I think of it as a sales tool, because they are your sales ambassadors and they're making the sales over and over again. And the name of my business is Testimagical. And the funny story behind that is a client of mine named it because I was trying to word smash awesome video testimonial and whatever. And I'm not great at naming stuff. And she's like, oh my gosh, this is Testimagical because it's a testimonial that makes me money over and over again. And that's magical. And I was like, and that's memorable for many reasons. Some people say it sounds dirty. I don't care, but as long as it's memorable, right? And so, yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
No, you did. Now you won't be able to not think about it, Katie. Sorry. Yeah. So there's just there's so many places, but your website, you want to get it up and send it. You can have watch some more reviews, right? But you want to get a couple of them up front, up top. Email signatures. Send someone to your video testimonial. So when we talk about your website, I'll have people, I call it a library of love or an authority page or something like that. Call it a testimonial page. I don't really care, but there is a psychological trigger that when people see a wall of video testimonials, they may not even watch them. But if you have them, a big title Mary did this or Mary overcame this, they may just read those. And the fact that you got someone on video, they're like, okay, I'm in. I'm going to do that next thing.
I like that though. I think that's something that wasn't even on my radar to talk about on this episode today. But if we're putting them on our website, what do you think on, instead of just having it be a whole bunch of blocks of testimonials or anything, kind of labeling it with so-and-so solved your problem?
Yeah. We tell our clients you don't want to, and I have a VA one of her jobs is go to our past clients and make sure they're doing this right. because sometimes they'll just put it up and they're nicely blocked, but they don't have a headline. And again, if you think about a customer experience, I have just found your website and now I'm checking out the testimonial page. I want to see, like, I see a bunch of different people. What are the different transformations? And that's one of the things we can talk about when we're talking about like the anatomy of a good one is you have to really be hitting, you want 10 people saying 10 different things, not 10 people saying the same thing, which is like, Katie's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you are, but that's not very compelling. Yeah.
And now for a quick break. We've all heard that AI can change the way that you do business. If you have a podcast, if you have a YouTube channel, are you repurposing your long-form content to its full capabilities? And that's where Capsho comes in. Check out Capsho and how they can help you create more content by visiting katiebrinkley.live/Capsho today and start using Capsho and AI to work smarter, not harder. Just a note, if you use the links I provide, I may receive compensation. All right, let's get back to the show. Well, I mean, like, and this is the thing too, is how do you, I guess, get people to say, I mean, like, it's hard enough just for me to get a written review. Sometimes I feel like, I'm like, gosh, I mean, like you said, I got great results for you. Can you please just like share it with the world? I promise I'll still keep doing great things for you. But how do you actually get someone to sit down in front of the camera and leave you a review or leave you a testimonial and not have it be like 4 minutes long? You don't want to have it be like 4 minutes long, right?
That's the hard part, right? And so what you said was so true. I mean, not just video testimonials, but written testimonials. People start to feel bad because like, I feel like a nudge. That's like a mom word, right? Like I feel like I keep asking them for things over and over and over again. And the problem is you do have to ask them over and over again because asking someone for a written testimonial, it's hard because they're like, well, what does she want me to say? Even when it comes to written testimonials, I will often, because they have their place as well, right? Like you can pepper written testimonials and that's useful. I will, knowing their transformation or something, I will give it a whirl and then have them like either approve it or like, you know, I will help them because then they don't have to take the time to start from scratch and try and figure out what to say. And I never ask the same question twice. So if I'm looking for different, so you can't ask people, no. So, I mean, I'll ask the same question twice when we're doing video testimonials in different ways though, but I don't send questions ahead of time to video participants. It's actually in our client contract that I won't do that because I want them answering from their heart and not their head. And so when you ask someone for a testimonial suddenly, and you want them to just give it to you, they're in their head. I don't want to let Katie down. I don't want to say the wrong thing. Does she want me to talk about this or does she want me to talk about that? And so it suddenly becomes this hard thing. And you don't want suddenly a client who has had this transformation with you, right? This big win to suddenly it's this thing hanging over their head that they said that they would do for you, but they really don't want to do it for you because they're afraid of messing up and they're afraid of looking bad. They certainly don't want to make you look bad.
Totally.
Yeah.
So do you have, I guess let's talk about once you have these testimonials done, how long should they be? How many questions should you have? Like what kind of prep do you give to your client? I mean, I almost feel like a lot of times, so it's no secret, I work with Capsho a lot. They adopted my 4-post strategy into their platform, which is such a big honor. So everybody that has a podcast or a video YouTube channel or anything, if they want to use Capsho, they get the 4-post strategy with their outputs. So Deidre and I do a lot of work together. And she said, hey, Katie, would you mind just doing a quick testimonial about what you think of the new Capsho that has your 4-post strategy? And it took me, I'm not joking, about 3 weeks to do because I was exactly like what you're saying. I was nervous about what to say, saying the right thing. If I didn't want to mess up because I was like, man, she's going to put this on her website. And really, there's nothing for me to mess up on. They did a great job. I love what they've done, but I just was afraid that I'd stumble or bumble or anything like that. So how do you really kind of prep people so that they don't act like me?
So why don't I'll just like quickly go over like our process of what we do. And so like when working with clients, the first thing we do is we identify what we call themes, threads, and transformations. So again, not questions, but outcomes. And so I bullet point. What are some of the outcomes? What are some of the things people have already said? But now you would like that on video in a way that doesn't take 20 minutes. Because again, a lot of my clients like, we tried to capture video testimonials, and the person sent back a 20-minute video. And I'm like, yep. And they'll be
Yeah.
like, is any of it usable? And then they send it to me and I'm like, the person's like this. I'm like, nope, can't use any of that. Right. And
Yeah.
so, but again, like how nobody really likes video. And this is what I say, they love you. They just don't love video. So we set them up for success. So the first thing with the client is really to figure out, like, what are the outcomes that you want? What do you want people to be talking about? And it can be, some people give me 5, some people give me 10, some people give me pages, whatever. I like to start to chit chat with someone. And then from there, I'm like, okay, let's talk about this with them, or let's have them sharing their story about this. So the first part is just really identifying the themes, threads, and transformation. As for being comfortable, I highly recommend doing an interview. That's how I do it. I mean, I use actually Riverside is recording their end in high definition, just like this, right? I do hide myself because I want them connecting with the camera. I don't want them looking at me. I want them looking over there.
Yeah, I keep going and looking at you over here too. Yeah.
I'm coaching, I'm helping. I'm like, so it's a comfort. Like the 3 biggest parts, or the part of our process, is comfort, trust, and then asking the right questions, not just any questions, but the right questions. And so that comfort comes from hey, you're going to hop on with Tracy. She is a pro interviewer. And, the clients just send out an email and then everybody comes into my world. Once they're in my world and they've said yes, because the client has said, I've hired this video pro, right? Or one of them calls me her video producer. And I'm talking about like CEOs of Estee Lauder I've interviewed.
Yeah.
Right? They don't have a lot of time, but they're like, oh my God, I loved your video. And then it's the touch point. So how to get them comfortable. So once you're in my world, the first thing, even on the calendar link's like, hey, want to meet Tracy? And then there's a little video and I'm like, hey, it's Tracy. Don't worry. I've got you. I know that this, like, nobody likes video. I got you. Right. And I just kind of tell them how it's going to be. It's like 2 minutes, then they get a reminder, and the reminder has like, here's how to set up your camera. If you can't, don't worry. We'll do it in the first couple minutes. You don't have to worry about this, but maybe have, if we're doing it on a phone or something, we'll say tripod. And here are some great colors that look amazing on camera. Right. And then like, here's some do's, don'ts for camera. So then by the time they hop on with me, they're like, hi, Tracy. Like they already know me. And so there's that comfort. Now, this is where it gets a little funny. So if you were to interview your own clients, though, there's a barrier where you're still not going to get that honest, raw answer. I'm a stranger interviewing them. And so they're much more likely to be open about something.
Yeah.
Because I am in someone's world and she's like, oh, I don't really need video testimonials because I do an interview with each of my clients. And I've seen these interviews and they are like 30 minutes long. They are complete templated. Like everybody kind of gets the same questions over and over again. And it just feels kind of like produced. It doesn't feel like the person is actually getting to share their magic. Because again,
totally,
it's about them. And so the comfort piece of it is you can't get it wrong. I'm going to help you get all set up. Don't worry about that, because that's what people worry about. And then we talk about, you asked about length, short, right? Like, so my interview will probably go, I tell them we won't be on for more than 20 minutes. And I will tell you, I am not on with them. If it takes me 10 minutes to get them set up, I will ask them questions for the other 10.
Okay.
If it takes me 5, I'll ask them questions for 15. But I want them to feel like they can't, they can't mess up. They're fine. And so this is the way we do it. But in editing, we try and keep the individual ones under 60 minutes. So we do individual, and then we'll do like a little compilation reel, almost like a sizzle. Yeah. So if we were doing it for you, Katie, the clients would be talking about their transformation, their struggles, that type of thing. But the compilation reel would be like, oh my God, Katie's the best. I love her. Right. Like just over and over. And that's the one I would put on your website, right? Like that would be the compilation that would go up top, so people get a feel for you. Right?
Oh, I like that.
There. Yeah. And then the trust part of it is they just have to trust that person on the other end. So in my case, it's me. I do all the interviews. I don't do the editing or any of that kind of stuff, but I'm the face, right? I'm the person that they're going to meet with. So they trust me. And like I said, the first thing I say is like, this is not live. You can't get it wrong. If you mess up and you're like, that's not what I wanted to say, we'll just do it again. It doesn't have to match, right? So a lot of it is redundancy. A lot of it is letting the person kind of find their own answer. And then I'll say like, oh, I love what you said about that. Can we just do a little answer and you just say that piece? And they're happy to do it because they're like, I did great. Tracy just said I did great. And she's a video pro. And she's like, right. And so then they're happy to do it. And not everybody is what my husband would call an animated bunny rabbit. I'm an animated bunny rabbit. You don't need that on camera in order for it to work. You need somebody like introverts do so well on video once they kind of get over the hurdle, because they're not like too much, right? They're a little more like they're more of an observer. And so I always tell my clients, like, should we pick people we think are going to be great on camera? I'm like, no, I want you to pick the people who have had the biggest impact from your thing, right? Like whether it's your product or coaching, so your membership. And so, not all of them need to have the same energy, not all of them. And in fact, you don't want them to. You want it to be diverse in the content, in the feeling, in the people. And then that piece of it, like we talked about before, is just like asking the right question, right? Again, these are not really about you, because you are not the hero. They are the hero. What is their truth? Sorry. What is their transformation? It's about them. And I always say, like, because some people will be very quick about their answers.
Yeah.
And I'll say, I need a little bit more. Like, how are you feeling? Because it's the feeling that is going to make it to that final little snippet. Yeah.
That is awesome, Tracy. And I think that when you're getting into the customer being the hero and not you, I'm assuming that you are familiar with Donald Miller, right?
Love him.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
From like 2015, I discovered him. Like, I love him. Yes.
Yes. So if anybody has not read any of Donald Miller's books, like he talks a lot about the hero and how to place your customer as the hero, because that's what people want. They just need you to be the guide, the person to guide them there, like the narrator of the story. Right. I think that with what you're talking about with video testimonials, having the right headline of so-and-so did this, so-and-so solved this. And it's not like, we can help you with X, Y, and Z. Look at all these printed things. The video testimonials will work, and it will help with your website watch time, right? And you want people to stay on your website longer. And you want people to stay on your website longer. So
it helps, especially like I always talk about welcome videos, because a welcome video is another great thing. That'd be like you welcoming the viewer, right?
Yeah.
And that's another great thing to have on there. But when you put a video on that homepage, on that first page, you're extending your watch time by 80%, 80. So people are going to stay on your page or on your site 80% longer. That's huge.
Yeah.
I always say, like, that is a huge statistic and a great reason to have video. So there's SEO and all of those things, but this is, and it's compelling to the viewer, because I mean, I'm an Amazon person, right? You don't buy the 1-star product with 2 terrible reviews.
Yeah.
You buy the product that has 7,000 4.5-star reviews. You need to get your 4.5-star reviews like front and center, so people know, like, this is what I do really, really well.
I love it. Well, Tracy, this has been an awesome conversation. And I mean, there's so many things that you can help with when it comes to video. I only wanted to talk about video testimonials today, but absolutely we'll need to have you come back on and just talk about camera confidence and what to wear, what not to wear. I think that'd be a great episode as well. If people want to connect with you, and I mean, you mentioned it before, you help get those video testimonials, you do the interviews. If people are interested in learning more, they're interested in working with you, connecting with you, following you on social media, what's the best way to do that?
It's memorable. Just testtomagical.com will bring you to my website. And then Tracy Phillips on LinkedIn or Facebook will get you there. Yeah. And I'm Testomagical on Instagram as well. And disclosure, I'm not on Instagram a lot. I have a good presence, led by a VA, but I'm still right.
Well, and you're active over on Facebook, and I mean, like, that's where it's focusing your efforts on platforms that you're seeing the best results from. And I'm seeing you on Facebook all the time. So connect with Tracy, check out Testomagical. And Tracy, again, thank you so much for joining us on Rocky Mountain Marketing today. It's been an awesome time having you here. And I'm just so glad that we were finally able to get connected so that we could have this conversation.
We'll do it again.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. I hope you're leaving with valuable insights and the inspiration to lead your market. If you've enjoyed our time together and found today's podcast episode useful, I have a small favor to ask of you. Please hit that subscribe button to stay updated with the latest episodes. And if you know someone who could benefit from these episodes, maybe a fellow business leader or an aspiring entrepreneur, go ahead and share this episode with them. Let's spread the knowledge and grow together. Also, I'd love to hear from you and continue the conversation beyond the podcast. Visit me at katiebrinkley.com to connect, to find more resources, or just to share your journey. And be sure to pick up your copy of my new book, The Social Shift, at katiebrinkley.com/book. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Katie Brinkley, and I can't wait to dive into more strategies and stories with you on the next episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. Let's keep on taking your marketing to new heights.